Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover video of the Pilote G600. So starting off with your gas locker, this vehicle previously had a refillable gas store system on, so this point is now redundant. However, if you do fit the bottles again, this is a filler point for the gas flow. But at present, it just does take two 6 kilogram propane bottles, but it will take the bigger size of 13, should I say. This is my 6 kilogram test bottle, which I'm going to show you gas appliances working on board. To connect the bottle, it's a left hand to tighten, pigtail right to loosen. So you want to nip it up until it nips onto the bottle. Then you need to get a gas spanner or an adjustable wrench and nip it up that little bit further so it forms a seal before turning the bottle on at the top. Once the bottle's turned on at the top, you can then press the black stopper. You need to press the black stopper every time you turn the bottle on, otherwise you'll get no gas through the crash valve on the pigtail. You then do have another one, which is your second motion crash valve on your regulator, which is this green dot. So you need to press that in. You'll not need to press that in all the time. If you've pressed that, the black one first, and you still can't get gas, that might have gone off, so just try pressing that for 10 seconds to do a reset. Make sure that your bottle's turned off before you travel, and make sure it's strapped in top and bottom so it's nice and safe and secure for when you're driving down the road. To hook the vehicle up, whether you're on a site or you're charging it on the driveway prior to your trip or over the winter time, it's the same way. So you get your hooker blade, lift the collar and expose the connection. Lift the connection on the vehicle, connect, drop the flap, then connect it to the site or to the house and do it in reverse order when unhooking so that you're never walking around with a live cable. So your grey tap here beside your step is your wastewater. So once the wastewater is full, you'll drive over the grid on the way out of your site. And the wastewater, all that is dirty shower water, hand-based water, dishes water, whatever you've put down a plug hole. There's a lever on the side. You'll open that up and allow that to drain off, leaving it open when you drive, so it rocks any loose water out, so you're better on payload and you're better on consumption of diesel. This is your external gas point. So whether you're wanting to cook outside, you need to use this connection. So you'll get a bullfinch connection which connects onto here. Then you'll need some rubber gas hose and 2 Jubilee clips, and you can connect this to a Cadillac or external barbecue, and this will work off the main bottle on board the vehicle so that you don't need to carry a separate bottle for your Cadillac. So in the back locker here, first of all, you've got storage, which is through loading, so it goes to the other side of the van. So if you've got anything large like chairs or anything you want to, or windbreaks or anything you want to store, you can put them in the bottom there. And then you do have your cassette toilet. So to remove the cassette, you lift the orange handle and slide it out of the vehicle. Once it's out of the vehicle, you can either carry it or you can wheel it. And you want to take it down to the toilet disposal point, which is the Elson point on site. And to empty, you remove the grey cap, start to pour the cassette, and when you start to pour it, press the orange button here. It allows a bit of air in, stops it glugging, gives it a consistent flow. Pour the contents out. Once you've done so, put a bit of water in. There's normally a tap there. Give it a rinse, tip out again before going with a cap full of chemical. This is 120 ml. This can be green, this can be blue. Green's more environmentally friendly. Some sites want that now, but you can still use blue. Measure it if you want to be exact. Tip it in there, or you can just tip it down the funnel there. Once you've tipped it in there, put a little bit of water in, and then that chemical will start to work and break up everything in the cassette. If the cassette doesn't come out, your blade's open. It needs to be closed to lift this handle and slide this cassette out of the van. Otherwise the mechanism is engaged and it will not come out. Now on the back panel of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake light, your reversing camera, and then you do have your tow bar, which has a 13-pin socket, but this has an adapter on the front of it which takes it to 7. So if you remove the adapter like this, you've got 13 pin, If you put the adapter in, you've got 7-pin for a bike rack or anything with 7-pin electrics. This side you do have your garage, so again through loading from the other side, and you do have two 240 volt sockets which will work when hooked up. It's heated with the heating system. You've got a fold down shelf should you need it, so you've got some storage in this side of the garage area. This locker here is a service hatch for your boiler, so should your boiler ever need any parts, you can get to your boiler here. If you need to do a hard reset on the boiler, you would lift this panel up and if you feel along here, there's a little black tab you can push in and do a hard reset on the boiler system on the top. But that's mainly for when the technicians need to check the boiler. You would reset the control panel, which I'll show you how to do on the inside of the van. This, however, is your anti-frost Truma valve. So when the vehicle detects 3 degrees or less, there's a button on the bottom here which is quite hard to see. Just down there, the little blue button, it's flush at the moment, will pop out and allow the 10 litres of water to come directly out underneath the vehicle. When using, obviously it's warm in here, so that'll never happen, but it's very important that you drain the vehicle off in the winter. So 3 degrees or less, that'll automatically open and drain the boiler to protect itself. However, never become fully reliant on this in case this valve ever does fault over years to come or time. So what you need to do is turn the blue diamond on the top and you'll see the water's coming out underneath the van. To stop this, turn the diamond at the top and push the button in at the bottom, and you can close the boiler again when you want to use it and fill the system with water. However, if you're using it when it's still cold, sometimes the button will not stay in. So to overcome this, what you need to do is put the heating on without the hot water. You can do it, doesn't need the hot water in the system to work the heating, it's air blown. This area will get really warm really quick, so 10-15 minutes it'll be warm, then you'll be able to come and push the button in and then fill the system with water. But make sure you drain it down in the winter to avoid the water from freezing in here, otherwise you void your warranty, and this is an expensive item on a motorhome. So this is your wet locker. So this is a great place to put your hooker bleed, your leveling ramps, your dirty boots, your hose, anything that's dirty and you don't want to put inside the van. And then what you can do is there's a hole in here and this is fully plastic lined, so you can just hose this out and rinse it out, and there's a drain hole in the corner. So any of your dirty items that you don't want inside the van, put in here so that they're not wet and dirty inside the motorhome. Push that back in, turn the two. Habitation key, which is this one, which opens all the locks on the outside of the van. Push in and turn, and that's locked. To fill the vehicle with fuel, which is diesel, you use your main ignition key. It's a lockable cap, fill with diesel, pop it back on, and lock. Underneath this compartment in the floor is where the engine battery lives. Underneath here is your toolkit, which includes a jack, a brace, a tone eye, and your bonnet release is located just here. Underneath the bonnet, so just to this side, you've got your screen wash, which is the main fill up you're going to need. So take the cap off and you can fill with screen wash. That fills this container here. Then you've got your power steering fluid and your coolant, followed by your brake fluid. And then should you ever need to jump start the vehicle, this is your earthing point, this little bolt here. And then lifting this cover, so it's normally down beside the air filter, you need a screwdriver or a key in the corner there to lift this back. That is your positive, this here, to receive or give a jump start. So once inside the vehicle, located above the habitation door is your 12-volt control panel. So in the top corner, if you're hooked up to mains, you'll get this light on here, and then to turn on the 12-volt system, if you press this button, the light will come on to operate the 12-volt supply. Turn it off when not in use, and then you can turn it back on, and this will work from your leisure battery. To view the levels of your battery, you've got a battery at the front, which is the engine battery, and a battery at the back, which is a leisure battery. Unhook the vehicle to get a true reflection of your battery readings. Otherwise you will get a false reading. Your aux switch here operates the ignition on the cooker, so you need to make sure that's on. And then next to it you do have your master switch for your lights, making sure this is on, and then they all are individually switched. Next to that you've got your pump. You need to make sure this is on should you have water on board to get a pressurized flow of water. And to view your water levels, just up above you've got a two-way switch, which is down for the waste and up for the fresh water supply, which you can see is 50%. This is your thermostat for your heating and hot water system. And then as you've got a Truma Combi, your 1 to 5 is your room temperature on the outside of the inner dial. So 5 is equivalent to 30 degrees. So you can adjust that to the room temperature that you want. Off is in the middle on the O. So this is the system off. Up above you've got your two water settings. So you've got 60 degrees if heating your 10 litres of water, or you've got 40 for showering, 60 for doing your dishes. And then if you turn it down to the gas flame is the heating on with no water. So if you've drained the system down for the winter time and you're just wanting to put on the driveway with a bit of heat in to stop condensation, you can turn it to the gas flame, and that will heat the vehicle without heating the water, because the water system is fully drained down. And then at the very bottom you've got heating and 60 degrees of hot water. So if you wanted the heating and hot water to run together, put on the bottom setting, and this will heat the vehicle to the temperature that you've selected and the water to 60 degrees. Next to it you've got your Truma Combi E energy source supply. So this switch next to it on the right hand side will choose which energy source you want. So at the top you've got two wavy lines, which is 2 kilowatts, which is 1850 watts of mains 230 volt. So if you're on a site that gives you a 10 amp, you can use this source. However, if you're on a smaller CL site or air abroad, you may have to use 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts, which is one wavy line underneath, because they aren't as generous with their power. Below this you've got a gas flame. This is gas by itself, so if you're wild camping and weren't hooked up, you can use gas by itself to heat the water or the vehicle, because you wouldn't have any other source available to the motorhome. And then you've got your two last sources at the bottom are mixture sources, which you've got mixture 1 and mixture 2. These incorporate electric with the gas to reduce the time it takes to heat the vehicle. So you've got mixture 1, which is gas and 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts of mains power. And then you've got gas and 2 kilowatts, which is 1850 watts. So if you're away in the winter and you're in desperate need of either heating the water or bringing the vehicle up to temperature, choose these sources and it will reduce the time it takes to heat the vehicle or the water. Once you've done 20 minutes or so on this source, turn it to electric to continue to heat and maintain the heat of the vehicle and the water without wasting too much gas. To operate your Thetford freezer, if you press the square button, you can turn the unit on and off by pressing and holding, and you'll see that the A stays lit up, which is automatic energy selection. So that will choose the best source available to the motorhome at any one time, and it will always prioritise mains 230 volt. So when hooked up, it will go to mains, worked as a household fridge. If you were to start the engine of the vehicle, it will switch over to 12 volt, which is a feed off the engine, not the leisure battery. For when travelling, it will keep it cool. Or if you weren't hooked up, it would switch on to gas by itself. But please note it does wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas once the engine's turned off. In case you forgot to turn your gas bottle off and you've pulled into a petrol station for diesel, the last thing you want is your fridge to be sparking where there's naked fumes of petrol. So it does wait 20 minutes. In this instance, what you would do is you would press the square button next to the A, and you'll be able to change the source manually. So you'll be able to manually select gas, mains 230 volt hookup, or 12 volt off the engine by pressing the square button beside the A and taking the A away, which means you've turned the automatic feature off. When pre-chilling, have it on 5, which is your temperature. When you put your shopping in, you may want to turn it down because 5 can sometimes form ice if it's left on for too long. But with your fridge, you'll want to hook it up a couple of days before you go away if you're lucky enough to keep it at home. Put your shopping in the night before and then turn it down. You can turn this setting on here, which is your frame heater, which stops the condensation of the panel and also stops the rubbers from sticking to the doors when the temperature of the freezer is on 5. It'll stop the rubbers from sticking. And then when you're not using the van, it's very important that you clean the fridge out and you don't shut the doors, because shutting the doors will form an airtight seal and you'll start to get a smell over time. So the best thing to do is open the doors. Underneath the handle there's a little toggle. You want to pull that out and you want to clip that into the frame as shown here to allow air to circulate in and out of the fridge freezer when not in use. Now in the kitchen, on the hob you have one electric hob plate which works on mains 230 volts, so it'll only work when you're hooked up. And then you do have 3 gas burners, so making sure that your gas supply is turned on, you'll be able to light your gas burners. But once you've had them on, you do have to make sure that they're cold enough before putting the glass lid down, otherwise you will smash the glass. It does have a built-in ignition as well on the front of the oven there, so you can turn the hob on. And make sure it's cool before you put the glass lid down. Underneath you do have your grill. And under that you do have your oven. You may want to take your grill pan and oven out when travelling or wrap them up, as they can cause a little bit of noise when you're on the road. In the kitchen cupboard above, you've got storage to the left hand side. And then to the right, you do have your status, TV aerial and TV booster. So if you're struggling to get a TV signal, if you look at the signal finder on the booster, it'll have a coloured light on. At the moment it's showing green, which means it's got a signal. Should that be red or amber, you've got a weak signal. So you can try and amplify the booster first, which has got a min and a max knob on there, so you can amplify it. Should you still be struggling, you can then loosen the nut off on the aerial and adjust the position of the aerial on the roof. But look where your other motorhomes and caravans are pointing, so you don't have to mess on for too long. So if you loosen the nut, you'll be able to push the stem up, tighten, and use the toggle on the bottom to direct the aerial. But make sure before you drive off your site, you bring the aerial back down, because you wouldn't want the wind to cause any damage and rip the aerial off the roof. So make sure you loosen the nut off and pull the stem down so that the aerial is safe for travelling. In the cutlery tray just above, you've got your 4 gas taps, which are labelled what they do. So you've got your hob, you've got your oven, you've got your fridge and you've got your boiler. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced, or you can isolate each appliance individually if you think you've got problems with gas. But these are mainly for when the van is serviced to make sure that the gas is reading to the correct gas standards. To operate your toilet, lift the lid, press the blue button at the back, making sure the pump's on, and you get a fresh water flush from your freshwater tank. Flush the toilet, put a small amount of water in to lubricate the blade and the seal before opening the blade, which is the grey lever on the pedestal. Use the toilet. Flush the toilet after use. If you've got any pink liquid, put a small amount of pink liquid in a bottle, dilute the rest with water, spray the bowl, it'll clean the bowl and it'll give a neutralised smell in there, so it'll just order neutralizer, and then you want to close the blade. The cassette won't come out the van if the blade is open, so make sure it's closed. On the back of the toilet you'll get a red light when the cassette is full. And it's time to empty it, rinse it out and replenish it with chemical. Now in the shower, make sure that your shower screens are tied back when you drive, and make sure you remove your shower head when you winterize so no water can stay in that pipe and potentially freeze. You want to remove the shower head and lie the hose down in the tray, but be careful with what you clean the washroom out with. No bleach, because bleach will damage the finish because it's all plastic. You want to use a Dettol spray or a fairy up liquid, washing up liquid with a microfiber cloth. You don't want to use anything too much in there that's too chemical product based, that will damage the finish. But make sure you do remove that shower head. Your hot water's hot there on the hand basin. Toiletry cabinet above. Toiletry cabinet below. Wardrobe to the side, which is a large wardrobe space with hanging rails and shelving unit to the left hand side. Telly, which is hidden behind the concertina door, lift that up, and then there's a chrome little clip that you press in with your thumb and slide the TV bracket out. You can then adjust it with the chrome clip below. Make sure the telly's all connected up. Once connected up, there's a switch at the bottom, so make sure it's turned on. So there's a master switch on the bottom of the telly, make sure that's in the on position and you'll get the standby red light. And you also want to make sure that the switch, which looks like a light switch, is turned on, because this is your master switch for your 12 volt point at the back, so that needs to be on, otherwise you'll get no life to your TV. Then you'll be able to turn the TV on with the remote. And every time you move sight, you will need to retune the TV, as it'll pick up different signal strengths. So if you press on the remote AQT, which is the big orange button, it'll automatically do a automatic channel search, and it'll find as many channels as it can in your area. So you just press OK, and it'll find all your digital and radio stations. Located underneath the travelling seats in the back, the dinette seat, you have your water pump, but you've also got your freshwater tank. So if you remove the red cap, you can get into there, and in the corner there's a plug. So to drain off your water, if you're winterizing or if you've taken on a source of contaminated water, you need to put your hand in and lift the plug out to drain the tank off. Behind the driver's seat, underneath your side bench seat, you do have the location of your electric block fuse unit. So carry some spare fuses with you. If a fuse does blow or something's not working on 12 volt, it's likely going to be a fuse. So check your fuses here. You can buy a pack of fuses off Amazon or eBay for less than £10. Carry them with you in case one does blow, you can replenish the fuse. In the black battery box, you have your leisure battery. And then located next to it, you have your trips on mains 230 volt. So if you've tripped the van, try here. If you think you're not receiving power, press the test button. If the van trips, you've got power. If it doesn't trip, you're not receiving power. So check where the vehicle is hooked up to, because it's not the van at fault. Bring down the overcab bed. First of all, you need to drop down the seats. So on the end of the captain seats in the cab, there's a knob. Slide this forward and bring the seat forward, but make sure you don't put the driver's seat too close to the horn, because the pressure will set the horn off. So leave a little gap. Bring both down. Take the buckle off, the safety buckle, and then you can pull the bed right down, and you have a large double bed over the cab. The ladder fits on the front to gain access, and underneath you've got a safety net which clips to the ceiling to stop the children falling out. To drop this table, there's a lever. Push your weight on it and then turn the lever to the front, and there's another lever to stop it moving back and forth on the runners. Clip that up, along with pulling the extension out, dropping the legs for extra support when you turn the tabletop over. Lift this cushion up and drop the tabletop below. Place the cushions in. Pull the base cushion from the side seat behind the driver's seat down. Drop the backrest in the other way though, so that it slopes down. And then turn your base cushions the other way. Tighten it all up, and there you have the additional double bed, as this is a 4-berth vehicle.